love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. You turn my morning into dancing. 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 Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything.
Good morning. It's so nice to be with you guys this morning. It was a beautiful night at the park. It was warm and quiet, no rain. We got lucky. A lot of kids, a lot of balloons. We had a good time. It's nice to see everybody here. It looks like we have quite a few faces showing up this morning. We have Chuck. Good morning, Chuck. And Ken Gooch. I hope men's group was a hit last night. And Chris Conley. Oh, that's me. Never mind. And then Dave Donnelly and Eric. It's always nice to see faces on there when you log in. I always wonder, is anybody show up? It shows we have 12 people on X, and that's kind of exciting, isn't it? That we don't know who they are, but that somebody else is watching. Today's verses are from 1 Corinthians 7, 32 through 40. It's a mouthful, just like the other day when I talked, but I promise I'm not going to go as long on that. A little bit because I was convicted a little bit yesterday when I was out walking, and I wanted to share that as well. Okay, let's get started on it. Since there's so much that I want to get it all covered through, I'm going to read through the whole thing, I think, instead of stopping and going and stopping and going. I would like you to be free from concern. An unmarried man is concerned about the Lord's affairs. How can he please the Lord? But a married man is concerned about the affairs of the world, how he can please his wife. And his interests are divided. An unmarried woman or virgin is concerned about the Lord's affairs. Her aim is to be devoted to the Lord in both body and spirit. But a married woman is concerned about the affairs of this world, how she can please her husband. I'm saying this for your own good, not to restrict you, but that you may live in a right way with an undivided devotion to the Lord. If anyone is worried that he might not act honorably toward the virgin he is engaged to, and if his passions are too strong, and he feels he ought to marry, he should do as he wants. He is not sinning. They should get married. But the man who has settled the matter in his own mind, who is under no compulsion but has control over his own will, and who has made up his mind not to marry the virgin, this man also does the right thing. So then, he who marries the virgin does right, but he who does not marry her does better. A woman is bound to her husband as long as he lives, but if her husband dies, she is free to marry anyone she wishes, but he must belong to the Lord. In my judgment, she is happier if she stays as she is, and I think I too have the Spirit of God. Okay. What did I do? That's never good, right? Okay. I did something and I just can't figure out what I did. Give me 1 second here to catch up. I've never had that happen before. I don't even know why it happened, to be honest with you. In here. I don't know if you can hear me. For some reason, the screen showed up, and I don't know why. Because all right. All right. Well, you can hear me. We may be doing this without visuals today because Steve screwed something up and he can't figure out what he did. So we are kind of like in a, yeah, just that screen, splash screen is showing up there and I have no idea why. Okay, let me finish it. Well, since I'm on and I'm talking, I might as well just continue, right? And you can't see me, so I can even do faces and everything. Paul explains this, and what he explains is he feels is the difference between a single person and a married person. We don't understand why. Paul is saying that marriage is second best to being single. Why is that? Why is he saying that? Marriage from the beginning was part of God's plan. Marriage. In Genesis, God in Genesis 2:18, God said, "Do not, for it is not good for man to be alone. I will make a helper, suitable helper for him." And then, in also later in Genesis, this is why a man leaves his father and mother married and is united to his wife. They become one flesh. So it's part of God's plan. And so why is Paul saying this then? This is the same guy who wrote in Ephesians 5:25, "Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ loved the church." It's the same guy that wrote the love verses in Corinthians that are used in weddings to this day. I mean, if I speak in tongues of men or angels but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and knowledge, if I have faith that can move mountains but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to the hardship that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love, it does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no records of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, and always perseveres. This is the guy that said don't get married. So there's a reason. Paul, we believe, thought that the return was imminent. The end times were imminent. It was a matter of days and months, not thousands of years. He was convinced that it was time. We had to do it now. So we need to reconcile Paul's opinion on these things. We need we need to look at what he's saying through the lens of what was going on, but we also need to look at what he was saying through the lens of all Scripture. And so what I think we need to do is the issues that were plaguing the church in Corinth were complicated. They were people believing that you should divorce your wife. It would, not have relations with her because it would make you more holy. There's a lot in there. I mean, it was a lot going on. And I think that Paul was just addressing that. Well, I had more planned, but I don't think I want to do it without any kind of, it's an uncomfortable, weird feeling. You think it's weird looking back at yourself. It's even weirder when you can't. All right. I'm going to end it there. I'm going to call it a day and try to figure out what I did wrong before prayer. Have a I'm sorry. Have a firmly rooted week, guys. And may someone see Jesus in you. Peace.